What is up and welcome back everyone to the garage, where today we'll be working on the Forester. Today marks the start of a lot of not modifications, but maintenance on our Forester. If you don't know why, I would highly recommend you go watch last video or go listen to the Flat 4 Off-Road podcast. Yeah, we started a podcast where I announced that I am taking my Subaru Forester out to the coast. I'm taking it out to Vancouver. So we have some maintenance items that we need to do to get it prepared, which means fluids, timing belts, everything like that. So that's what we're going to be doing in these next couple episodes. But before I get a little bit too far off topic, one other thing we announced on the Flat 4 Off-Road podcast is merch. So as you guys know, we've been working hard at Flat 4 Off-Road and we've been designing and creating our own merch. This stuff and everything else but our hats are made in Canada, where our other hats are actually made in America, but we are all North American made merchandise, which is one of the big goals of Flat 4 Off-Road. So yeah, if you want to go grab yourself some Canadian made, this one is Canadian made merch, go check out Flat 4 Off-Road. But that's not why you guys are here today. You're here because you clicked on the video because you're wondering how to do front and rear diff maintenance. So I should have changed mine honestly a long time ago. This Forester's been through a lot. If you haven't seen, go check out the videos because we've put it through some abuse. It's gone through rivers, it's gone up some hills that it shouldn't have, it's been on the top of mountains. So yeah, the diffs need a change. And honestly, I haven't changed them. I've had this car for 3 or 4 years now and I haven't changed it. So it is time. With that being said, we're going to be doing both the front and rear. They're actually not that hard. The hardest part for me is actually going to be moving around my rear skid plate on the diff to get it so it doesn't drain into the skid plate, but it drains into a pan. Other than that, it's just opening up some bolts and then tossing in some oil. Really, it's not too picky for me because this is something that I am going to be doing a lot more. I'm going to be maintaining it. I'll probably do it every year at least. All you need is some 75W90, so some gear oil. And as long as it's GL5, you're good to go. I'm using some Mopar stuff because this is the stuff that Flat 4 Off-Road we use because we can get a good price on it. And as I said, I go through it. We're going to be changing it quite a bit more in the Forester. So if I'm not using the highest quality stuff, that's not a big deal because I'll be changing more often. But the Mopar stuff will be great because, well, we run it in trucks all the time. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and start working on the car. Okay, well, with my bucket in hand, I think we're gonna do the rear one first. So let's go ahead and jump under the car. So as I mentioned, you guys are gonna have an easier time than me. I have this rear diff skid plate, which is really protectant. Like, it will protect from side hits and everything. But the issue is it kind of gets in the way of this drain plug. So what we're gonna do, I think, is I'm just gonna loosen these 2 mounts off because that's where it's sandwiched in. Lower this a little, and then I'm gonna take a piece of paper and just jam it in between there and kind of make a ramp into my bucket. So that's kind of the plan for loosening that. And then really, to loosen all this, loosen these, you just need, I think it's a 1/2 inch drive. Yeah, 1/2 inch drive, and then you can go ahead, break it loose, and drain it. And then I'll show you how to fill it in a second. So let me get this off, get it draining, and then we can kind of move forwards on that. Well, after using a little bit of Canadian magic to break the rust free and get both plugs off, we got it draining. But check out the plug. It's definitely had a rough life. It's got a fair amount of metal on there. It's not super concerning, but it's definitely something to look out for. As I said, I'm going to be changing it a lot more, so we'll be monitoring that pretty closely. And eventually I would like to put a locker on it, so this is kind of just telling me that I probably should do it sooner than later. And then once you have it cleaned up in here, you can go ahead, put in that lower plug, and you can torque it. It's 36.2 foot-pounds. I have to use my big torque wrench because my little torque wrench doesn't have a 1/2 inch and I don't have an adapter, so we're just gonna do it this way, I guess. And then once that lower plug is in and torqued, you can go ahead and fill it. So filling it's pretty easy of a procedure. All you gotta do is fill it up until it starts to flow over. So I'm gonna once ahead put some paper towel in here so I don't get as much oil everywhere. And then I'm just gonna fill it until it starts to leak out of here. And then we can go ahead and install our other plug. And there we go, so it's just dripping out now. So that means that we're full. So it should take about one of these but I just use like 3/4 because it's hard to get on an angle. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that it's full, and then we can go ahead and put the plug in, and then we'll torque it down to the exact same spec. Even though it's a little bit smaller, I'm pretty sure it's around the same spec anyways. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we got the rear end all done. And with the rear end down, it's now time to move on to the front. So as I said, you gotta keep your car level for these so you can drain them. I think because my Forester is lifted, I can sneak under there. I can sneak under there to do oil changes, but I'm not sure if I can go ahead and get the T70, which, if you're not sure what you're looking for, is you're gonna be needing one of these T70s to undo the drain plug, and then you're also going to be actually needing a special gasket. There's some conversation around the gasket that Subaru has been providing. It's now a black gasket. They used copper, but now we're on a black gasket for that. So this front one does have a gasket for the plug, so we'll be hopefully just dropping that and then draining that really quickly. We'll see how well that goes, but as I said, I'm not going to lift the car. I think I should be able to just slide under there and be able to just go ahead, undo that T70, drain it in the pan, and then fill it up from the top. So let's go ahead and jump onto the car again. Well, we do fit under here, but just barely. What you'll be looking for is, as I said, the T70, the star. It is kind of where this Y pipe is, right here. And this is for the automatics. I know manuals are a little bit different setup with the gearbox because they don't have ATF. But essentially what we'll be doing is just dropping this T70, which I was able to loosen off already, just trying. So this one's going to be a lot easier to loosen off. And then what we're going to do is just drop it into the bucket and then go ahead and fill it from the top. Also, if you're doing ATF, which I'll be doing later, it is right here. Don't worry about that in this video because I have a much better ATF and kind of refurbish on this, where I put in essentially the most required thing if you're doing off-road with these automatics is you need a bigger cooler. So I put the biggest cooler I could fit up front, and then I went ahead, drain this, and then put a new filter on. So if you want to check out that video, this is the worst place to do a plug, but go check it out over there. There's up in the corner, you'll be able to find it. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and drop this oil now, and we'll be on our way. And then when it's drained, you want to clean up Subaru's beautiful engineering here. It drains on the exhaust and on the subframe here, so you're going to want to wipe it up. And then once you've cleaned up here, you can go ahead and take your gasket and go ahead, put it on your nice and clean. So make sure you clean this up, make sure you clean the magnet. This one actually was way better than the rear. Go ahead, put that on and screw it in, and then we'll jump up top and fill it up. But not before we torque it to 51 foot-pounds. So there's some debate whether this new gasket, because the old one was copper, there were some aluminum ones, go to 51. Subaru's obviously said that this case can go to 51 foot-pounds, so just torque it down to 51 so that you know that you're good to go, and then we can go ahead and fill up. So got my torque wrench, and let's torque it. And if it's been going smoothly, this is probably where you're probably gonna hate it. So your check is down, way down there. I can't even like show you because it's under our intake. So I tried with a bendy funnel and you can just about get it. Maybe if I had like a second and third funnel, I could maybe get it, but at that point, it's not worth it. I'm gonna pop this off because honestly, it doesn't take too much. Just undo this guy, and then we can take this whole rear section off, and we can actually just go ahead and put our funnel in through there, and then we can fill it up. And all it takes is a bolt there, and then a hose on either side, and one connection, and you have your intake off, and you can go ahead and drop right down there. There we go, we got our funnel running down into the dipstick hole, which we can use to fill this. This is particularly on the automatic transmission. Make sure you're on the left side because the right side is your ATF and your left side is your gear oil. So now we're gonna be putting in approximately a quart in a little bit. We're gonna first put in a quart, see what it looks like, and then maybe add a little bit more here or there to make sure we get it perfect on the dipstick. So let's go ahead and fill the oil. And with the levels being perfect, that means we're done changing the front and rear diff oils in my Subaru Forester. As I said, I was actually doing the ATF fluid as we kind of went ahead and did this. I just dropped the plug, drained it, and then put some new fluid in. So as I said, if you're looking for an ATF video, go check out the one in the corner, because that's where we installed our giant cooler and also changed the filter, because that's something that's important, and especially it's something that this car never had done before, so it's something I was looking to do. But another fluid change in the Forester, something that I'm just gonna keep up as we go and we kind of push the Forester to the limits. But that is gonna be it for today's video, but not for our series of maintenances. As I said, I have lots of stuff waiting for the Forester, so we got a few more videos of some pretty big maintenance items, as I said, timing belt and some other stuff. So make sure you're looking out for those, and also make sure you're checking out Flat 4 Off-Road, our podcast, as well as our merchandise. But that is going to be it for today's video, so as always, peace out and stay humble.